earlier this year, we had the fortunate moment of understanding and learning about Erin Patterson, the woman who decided to cook up some mushrooms for her family, which they all perished after eating the mushrooms. There's an update. They finally have taken her into custody. Erin Patterson, the host of a weekly family lunch at her Australian country home, faces charges of murdering her ex-husband's parents and aunt with poisonous mushrooms and attempting to murder a fourth guest, according to police reports. The alleged incident occurred in the Victoria state town of Leongatha, where on July 29th, Patterson invited her former husband's parents, Gail and Don Patterson, both age 70, and Gail Patterson's sister, Heather Wilkinson, 66, along with Heather's husband, Ian Wilkinson, 68, for a family lunch. I find it odd already that you're inviting your ex's family over to your home for lunch, unless maybe they're all on, good terms. Maybe there's kids involved and it's, maybe it was on good terms prior to everyone dying. Tragically, all four guests fell seriously ill the following day, and only Ian Wilkinson managed to survive. The symptoms exhibited by the victims were consistent with poisoning from wild Amanita phalloides, commonly known as the death cap mushrooms. I think you want to go with death cap mushrooms when you're describing this, because the other one sounds somewhat appetizing. It's like,
it kind of does.
On the menu tonight, we have wild Amanita phalloides with some truffle sauce and fresh Parmesan. Would you like some extra Parmesan, sir? Yes, it'd be great. I'm going to die right now. Patterson, who's 49, has publicly denied any wrongdoing, expressing her grief and shock, saying, "I'm devastated. I love them. I can't believe that this has happened, and I'm sorry," she tearfully told reporters 2 days after their death. In addition to the murder charges, Patterson has been accused of attempting to murder her ex-husband, Simon Patterson, 48. Simon had fallen ill after consuming meals prepared by Erin in 2021 and 2022. So
okay.
He did not attend the July lunch.
Well, yeah, because he's like, every time this bitch cooks for me, I fall ill.
So send mom and dad over. Mom, why don't you go to that meal? She's tried to kill me twice, but you and dad and my sister, why don't you all go? She makes this great mushroom. It's called death caps. According to the police statement, Erin Patterson was arrested and taken into custody at her home. She had cooked a beef Wellington steak dish for the ill-fated lunch using mushrooms purchased from a major supermarket chain and dried mushrooms from an Asian grocery store. She herself had consumed the meal and later experienced stomach pains and diarrhea. Ian Wilkinson, a Baptist pastor, was discharged from the hospital in late September and is reportedly continuing his recovery. Murder in Victoria carries a maximum potential sentence of 25 years in prison. Erin Patterson was expected to remain in police custody until her scheduled court appearance, where she could potentially seek bail. It's important to note that bail requests for defendants charged with murder are typically referred to a higher court for consideration, indicating that Patterson may face a lengthy legal process ahead as the case unfolds. So she got the mushrooms from the store?
That's what she's alleging. Now, in Australia, the death cap mushrooms, they grow naturally there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she might have bought mushrooms from a store and then added her own.
Because I can't imagine they're selling death cap mushrooms at the Kroger.
I wouldn't imagine they would, because just the risk involved in that.
Why would you sell it to begin
exactly.
with? Yeah, exactly. The only thing I could see is like if it accidentally got mixed in with ones that weren't death cap mushrooms.
But when other people have died as well, not just the people at this party?
I don't know. Unless, you buy mushrooms. I'm thinking when I go to the grocery store and if I'm buying fresh mushrooms, I'm just kind of picking them out of the thing, or I'm buying a container and I'm assuming they're not poisonous because.
Well, you'd hope.
Yeah. So, but if like just one gets in there and then it's mixed into a recipe, a beef Wellington here, I understand logistically how this could have happened if they were all purchased from the store. And something horrible went wrong. It could, and there's horrible people out there who've done horrible things. I'm thinking back to like
Like the Tylenol
Yes,
poisoning?
that's exactly what my mind was going to.
I knew you were headed
I was
there.
about to say the word Tylenol. And there's like 1/4 of our audience who even knows what we're talking about there. But back, it was like the early 90s, 80s. What was it?
I want to say late 80s. I could be wrong on that, but it was life-changing. I mean, it changed how people access their medicine, because you kind of look at your bottle and go, huh, is there something wrong with it? And it brought about tamper-proof packaging for everything you see on the shelves now.
The reason why it's a pain in the ass to open any of those things is because of that. Because everything then became tamper-proof, child-proof, and oftentimes adult-proof as well.
It was 1982.
But I do wonder, I was born that year. So, of course, I remember watching the evening news and talking about it.
Well, but it persisted for quite some time.
I actually have my microphone sitting right here on my desk. That was my first microphone that I got when I was 2. It says CBS Sports on it, and it connected to your AM radio, and it broadcast a signal. Anyway, so I'm actually kind of not joking that I did remember this thing because I'm insane. But I mean, could it have been that some horrible human being went to the grocery store and had a death cap mushroom and thought, fuck it, I'm throwing it in here and I'm going to see what happens. And now somebody's off in the wilderness maniacally laughing about this?
Possibly.
I don't know. I think
that makes me question the next time I buy some mushrooms, Yeah. Because I eat mushrooms all the time. Mm-hmm. Could somebody potentially take a deadly mushroom and stick it in with the regular others? Absolutely.
Yeah, you just have to look at your mushrooms and know what you're getting, because then there's a lot of versions of mushrooms that have like their evil step cousin that is poisonous, and it's very close, but there's usually some sort of sign on it, that you can tell if you know what you're looking for is a bad mushroom or a poisonous mushroom. It's the reason I don't go mushroom hunting, because I don't trust myself enough to know how to do that correctly. I feel like I could easily do this if I went and foraged a bunch of mushrooms and then cooked for everyone. So I wouldn't do that. I would just buy it at the store. But if that's the allegation, this is going to be interesting to see exactly what happened. I am curious about the relationship there. Smith had fallen ill after consuming meals prepared by her in 21 and 22.
That's suspect. That, to me, that raises a huge red flag. I am a horrific cook. I am awful. My husband will eat food from me. He's not afraid. A lot of times he'll watch me cook, but I'm horrible. This last weekend, I made a pot roast and it was great, but he started it for me and I finished it. Mm-hmm. But we both eat the same food. So if something happens, we're both going to be affected by it. I don't think he's ever afraid that I'm poisoning him. He just knows I'm a really shitty cook and I might make something that tastes terrible.
Well, the fact that she ate it as well and did get sick, luckily she did not die.
And I'm reading here too, Tony, her kids who were not present at the lunch ate some of the leftover beef Wellington the next day, according to the BBC. But the mushrooms had been scraped off the dish as they did not like them. You nailed it before we went on air.
Okay, yeah, because there was a question of, well, the kids didn't eat it. I said, well, maybe the kids just don't like mushrooms.
And that's exactly what happened. They didn't like mushrooms.
That's my house. That's I rarely have, because nobody likes mushrooms other than like me. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know that this is a killer that truly set out to do this. They need to investigate it. It certainly looks suspicious, but I do wonder if she in fact was the victim of something or getting bad mushrooms. Maybe it wasn't even nefarious. Maybe it was just the mushroom company that, they got to pick these things somewhere, and somehow a bad one got into there.
Anything is possible, but she doesn't sound like, like the like Corey Richins poisoning her husband. It feels very different here.
It does. I'm going to get that app out now that identifies everything every time I eat a meal and just kind of like take a look. Like, is this one the bad one or the good one? And then everyone will look at me like, what's wrong? I'm just making sure I'm not being poisoned.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advance access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.